This is Dr. Wendy Walsh, and you're listening to a bonus episode of Mating Matters, the podcast that looks at human behavior through evolutionary psychology. And ultimately, it's always about mating. Reproductive strategy is the mechanism underneath everything we possibly do. In this episode, are we really post-Me Too? There was a lot of talk recently that, now we're post-Me Too. Me Too's over. I think a lot of men want to wish that because they're sitting there still shaking in their boots about something they said or did 10 or 15 years ago that they're afraid will come to the surface, right? But we're not post-Me Too. We stopped and took a big old breath after we had a crop of very powerful men go down here in America. Let's see, Fox News's CEO Roger Ailes, followed by Fox News's host, Bill O'Reilly. Then who are the other big ones? Harvey Weinstein, the film producer from the Weinstein Company, Bill Cosby, Matt Lauer. It just went on and on. That's the media and entertainment crew. But then it spread into academia. It spread into law. I recently met a congressperson, and he was like, hey, I want to thank you. And Google it if you want to figure out my role in the Me Too movement. But he said, I want to thank you because I have my job because of it. The guy that a seat opened up because a congressperson was forced to step down because of some Me Too accusations. So I do want to just say one thing. The hashtag Me Too is a big general umbrella that covers a few things. It covers both workplace sexual harassment and it covers sexual assault and rape of a minor. So a lot of people get confused because they'll say, well, he didn't touch you or he didn't do anything to you. I don't understand. And so I just want to break it down to remind everybody that even though we loosely use the term hashtag Me Too, it may apply to 3 or 4 different things. If we're talking about workplace sexual harassment, it's either a quid pro quo claim. That means you do this for me, I'll do this for you. Dangling paychecks, promising promotions. And ladies, you should know that if you complied, if you had sex with your boss in order to get a promotion, that is evidence that you were sexually harassed. So if you are sitting there thinking, oh, I'm such a bad person, no, you had no choice. Maybe you were a single mother and had kids to support. This was your survival mechanism. So that's quid pro quo. The other kind of workplace sexual harassment is called hostile environment. And this is when women are forced to work in a place that's filled with locker room talk, a lot of comments about what they're wearing, their body, what their boobs look like, etc. Stories that men like to tell about what happened last night or whatever. If they're shown porn by a coworker, that's all sexually hostile environment. Also illegal, folks. Then also under the hashtag Me Too, we have sexual assault. And this could include outright rape, including date rape, where drugs are used as a weapon, or groping, inappropriate groping or touching of the genitalia. That's sexual assault. Also, sex with any minor is rape. I don't care if that minor is 17 and a half and says yes, because you groomed them, it's rape. Sorry. So that's the rule. Now, in the news lately, as we are starting with, I call it second wave of Me Too, we have the opera singer Placido Domingo. Apparently 9 women have come forward accusing him of sexually harassing them, promising jobs or having their career be hurt when they didn't accept his advances. And then on the sexual assault side, we've got financier Jeffrey Epstein, who allegedly took his own life in a New York prison cell. I say allegedly because you know the conspiracy theories that are out there. One of 3 things happened to Jeffrey Epstein. 1, they left him alone, not on a suicide watch, meaning that, did you know when you're on a suicide watch, the bed sheets are paper and they break? So they took out the paper bed sheets, left a regular one, left him stuff he could use to weaponize himself, and turned their back on him. That's one possibility. The other possibility is that somebody else killed him because supposedly he's got a black book with a lot of powerful men who are also having sex with teenagers on his airplane and on his private island. And so there were lots of people who wanted him dead. And the third, I know this is really conspiracy theory stuff, I don't know if I believe it, is that he's still alive. that they paid, that he's so rich. He was like $500 million. What if he spent a million to some Eastern European or Russian gang to pay off a bunch of people at the jail and a doctor and a coroner? Picture this, like out of a movie. They pretend they're taking out his body. They get him in the ambulance. They pull a tooth, so they got dental records. He gives a little blood. They switch the bodies. I should be writing the screenplay. It's conspiracy theory, folks. We don't know. But I have not seen the body, so one of three things happened to Jeffrey Epstein. Back to evolutionary psychology. So, alpha males love to hoard women. The younger the women are, the better for the reproductive advantage because they can get access to their eggs and keep other men away from their eggs. In other words, if you date a hot woman in her 20s, depending on her behavior, her religious upbringing, her sexual tastes, whatever, your fighter sperm are probably having to have a battle inside her vagina because she's been sharing her eggs with others, and which is okay, folks. Did you know that when women have more sexual freedom and can just have wonderful sexuality, sexual assaults go down in a culture, right? Because sexual assaults are often committed by lower status men who don't have access to mates. And that's when they have to coerce to get sex, right? So all of this is related to our evolution. But what's happening now and where are we going forward? Well, where we're going is toward a place where men and women are far more equal, where they will make the same money, where they will be collaborative. Don't think that monogamy is going away, because even in our hunter-gatherer past, where the gatherers, women, who also worked with hunters and were great trackers and killed a lot of birds and squirrels, they got protein too. But those women gatherers who mostly gathered nuts and roots and fruits and vegetables actually gathered far more calories than the hunters. So they could live without guys. But monogamy happened because it protected the next generation. If a dude stayed around, then the more likely that those kids would survive and inherit the gene for monogamy. Monogamy also evolved because men wanted to control women and make sure no other man got access. Remember, we were moving, us women, in roaming encampments, villages of women, aunties, sisters, cousins, the odd gay brother, a bunch of kids, and we were going from gathering place to gathering place. And if a man wanted to be sure that his baby was his baby, because we're only fertile 3 days a month, he better stay close to her butt and make sure other men don't get access. Yes, men invented monogamy. But in our future, I don't think monogamy is going away. Human beings do better when they are in a long-term committed relationship. Now, when I say that, I'm not talking about till death do us part, one soulmate for life. What I'm talking about is that because of our very long life expectancies, you will find even the most monogamous of humans having 2 or even 3 long stints of monogamy with some mate selection in between. And men, we love you. We want you to stay around and help. We just don't like your sexual aggression, and we don't like aggression in general. So I think men are going to calm down a bit. Women are, hey, guys, a wife with a paycheck or a girlfriend with a paycheck, this is ultimately a good thing for your survival too. That's something more natural to our species. Gatherers bringing back calories too, right? So I feel that even though we're having a shakeup, it's not post-Me Too, it's second wave of Me Too, and we're seeing these sexually aggressive men go down. We are seeing alpha males who hoard resources being challenged by women who are now getting into politics as world leaders, who are now sitting on boards of Fortune 500 companies, who are becoming CEOs. These women are saying, hey, let us have some of those resources. Even though we're seeing this enormous change happening so fast, at hyperspeed, we're actually returning to something more natural to our species, which was this. We spent most of our life roaming and moving encampments of about 30 to 40 people. It usually broke up when it was 40 into 2 groups. And these encampments consisted of mostly biological relatives and a few extras, because we needed to diversify our gene pool. So those yummy hunters, when they would come in from other tribes, we'd say, come on in, have dinner, sit around our campfire. You're really cute. Your pheromones smell delicious. And so they were mostly, when I say mostly peaceful, I do want to remind you that aggression evolved in us for a reason. We fought against other tribes for resources, for territory. And that is in us too. As a little aside, I do want to say that there are plenty of people out there who say that the violence that exists in our media is contributing to the violence on our streets. I actually believe the opposite. I think our violent media is cathartic for us because aggression lives in us. So we get it out with video games and movies and books. I don't think violent media is good for a developing brain. That's different because it normalizes violence in a developing brain. But for adults who want to sit and kill people on screen all day long, great, knock yourself out. Then you don't have to do it on the street. Right? So I think we are returning to something more normal, but we also have some new environmental pressures, which are simply overcrowding. In our anthropological past, the average human never laid eyes on more than 150 Homo sapien in their entire lifespan. And now, as we know, a new potential mate is a thumb swipe away on an app. We are in crowded malls, on crowded subways, in crowded nightclubs, and we are being triggered to reproduce everywhere because it's like a new hunter has walked into our tribe every time we open up Tinder or Bumble or one of those apps. So that's why we have to use our intellectual capacity to make really healthy choices for us. Ultimately, long-term relationships are good for our health. People in long-term relationships tend to live longer. They have better health along the way. They have lower rates of depression and anxiety, and they tend to accumulate more wealth. This is why we seek out love. And this is why mating matters. You're listening to Dr. Wendy Walsh with producer Brooke Peterson. Mating Matters Season 2 is coming out very soon. Thanks for listening to this bonus episode. If you'd like to call the Mating Matters message line, you certainly can. The number is 323-207-8277. That's 323-207-8277. If you got a question, we want to hear it. Or maybe you have a comment. Either way, we love to hear from you, our listener. Mating Matters is produced in partnership with iHeartMedia. It is researched, interviewed, and written by me, Dr. Wendy Walsh, and it is edited and produced by Brooke Peterson. You know, people don't learn about podcasts usually by just searching around. They learn about a podcast because somebody who loved that podcast told them about it. So I encourage you to please subscribe, write a review, and more than anything, hit that share button now. Think of somebody who would like to hear this information as much as you enjoyed it. Follow us on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram at Dr. Wendy Walsh. Listen to Mating Matters on the iHeartRadio app or wherever you listen to your podcasts. Thanks for listening. I'm Dr. Wendy Walsh.